As a farm boy, worked on the farm. I've always been related to agriculture. Worked in elevators before I came into here. Got tired of eating dirt and handling bean bags, so I decided to find something a little easier. So that's how I got this job. I started in June 22nd of 1966 is when I came on. It was McRae, FM McRae at the time. It's here in Gibson City, same basic establishment, just moved out here to the country in '78. It's been good to me. I've enjoyed it. It's kind of enjoyed what I was doing, and the customers, basically, I enjoyed them.
He was just always very even-tempered. I don't think I ever saw him mad at anything. And you know, at harvest time, some of the customers get pretty short, but Clyde was always on even keel. And he had a way of just defusing anything that was probably there. But he also had a way of always making sure that they were taken care of.
That was one thing he instilled on me was no matter what you did, try to get the customer's attention, to figure out what he's actually looking for, and just try to satisfy the customer. Just try to and go above and beyond. If it takes picking up the phone and calling somebody to answer the question, that's what you do. You just don't say, "I'm sorry," and turn away from it.
He had very, very good customer relations. He developed customer relationships that were long. I mean, he still has people that come in from 30 that he's done business with for 35 years. He has shown me what it really means to have good customer service and good customer relationships.
You know, number one, 50 years. You know, I think that exceeds Birkey's expectations, and it exceeds the customers as well. I mean, there's something to be said about a guy that's been in one place for 50 years. And I think I said it the other day on an interview for the newspaper that, you know, he's not only dedicated to Birkey's, but he's been dedicated to his customers for that long.
Well, the old boss told me that he wanted 8 out of 10 people that came through the door satisfied. And that was one of my goals, to try to satisfy most of the people that you could. So that was always my goal.
Clyde has been with the organization a long time, and we've gone through many transitions from back when he was with McRae to Birkey's and all the changes that have taken place. And yet, through all those years, Clyde has been a very loyal and dedicated employee.
The first memory I have of Clyde, and this is probably one that sticks in my mind for a long time, is when I was younger, you know, I used to spend a lot of time in the parts department. So I followed Clyde around, and Clyde always smoked a pipe. Okay, well, Clyde would light it up and then stick it in his pocket. Well, at 7, 8 years old, you're thinking fire, clothing, don't go together, right? So I'm following Clyde around watching to see what's gonna happen here with all, you know, is he gonna burn his pants up or what? But smoke would be rolling out of his pocket. He'd reach in and grab that pipe out, take it out, start talking to the customer. Pretty soon he'd slide it back in again and start smoking again. As I thought as a kid, I thought, how many holes could this guy actually have in his pockets, and how do he keep his change in his pockets? Yeah, that was a memory that's lived with me forever. When I look at Clyde and I think about that, how do he keep his change in his pockets all these years?
And I told him one day, I said, "Clyde, your shirt's on fire." "Oh no, it's fine." He said, "I just do that all the time." He said, "I just usually put that in there just so I know where it's at." So.
One time, they changed the part number of 1 foot to 1 box, and that was 100 feet of 5/8 fertilizer hose, and I ordered 100 boxes, and when the truck backed up, it was half full of hose, and I looked at it and I said, "That isn't ours, is it?" And he said, "Yes, that's yours." Well, I got 52 rolls, but they back ordered 48 of them, so I had to get rid of those in after I got them, so I called up and got them sent back to Broadview at the time. So that's probably the most big mistake I made in my life. I enjoy the people, and I grew up with the machines and enjoyed getting the mechanics parts and customer parts and all that. I probably learned as much as anything by putting parts away and working in the back room where they were at. And
the wealth of knowledge there that he has is just irreplaceable. You know, nobody's going to ever be able to replace that again. So, you know, it's just a lot of that stuff, the older stuff that I didn't know anything about. I've learned a lot from him, absolutely.
And just over the years when I needed something, you know, especially on some of the older tractors, you know, I could call him and ask him about it, and he could tell me where to look for it or what part the guy needed. A lot of times it was, he'd just rattle the part number off and tell me.
At that time, I remember being told that Clyde had quite a following in parts, and he was a parts guy that had many years of experience. And I was told that Clyde could remember part numbers in his head and rattle them off like nobody else could.
He knew where most of the parts were and what bin number. But when they went to computers, that slowed him down a little, but he adapted very well.
Well, the old way of doing parts is you look the parts up, and you look the location up on a card, you went and got the part, and then you made out a ticket, you priced a ticket, and you checked it off of the card file. So, I mean, you were exposed to that number at least 6 times every time you sold a part. So, I mean, that's when you remembered things. Today, I try to remember what, not as much, being as we had the longer numbers than we used to have, but I try to remember what's what.
Yeah, you take a guy who's worked with us for 50 years, you know, on behalf of the owners, I'd like to thank him for his 50 years of, you know, to our business, and also wish him the best of luck in retirement.